Hello and welcome, my creative friends. Welcome back to Deliberately Creative. This is Stephanie, and we're going to do this fun doodle heart. It is on watercolor paper. There's some Neocolor too. There's a watercolor brush being used with water. Drying it all and then tracing around some of these interesting shapes and making patterns. I'm excited. I hope you are. Let's get started. We're starting off here. I have my watercolor sketchbook. This is an Arteza 5.5 by 8.5 watercolor sketchbook with 140-pound, 300 GSM watercolor paper. This is just your standard practice on type paper. It's not your fancy paper, but we don't want to be fancy. We want to be fun. So I am going to just start by making a few marks with some Neocolor 2. These are the water-soluble wax pastels. And I am just going to go in and kind of, without a full idea, sort of in a heart shape, put some of these colors on. And I am mixing my colors up. I'm using, the first color I put down, that was what they call purple. This is the scarlet. I'm mixing my warm and cool colors. I'm not worried about the, whatever it makes for interesting color mixes is what it's going to make. I am putting in, bright colors. I'm putting in muted colors. Let's put some blue over here. Like I said, relatively heart shape-ish. It is the season of hearts. I think any time is a good time for heart coloring, though. Heart pictures. Because we have so many times in the year that we need to show our love and appreciation for others. And put some yellow on the outside of that. And maybe grab that scarlet again. There's a lot of color on here. Maybe that scarlet in there too. A little bit of light blue. What I want is some of these marks to stay, and some of these marks will just melt in. We're getting basically the basic place to put some doodles. And I'm covering my whole page. But when I put my water on, I'm going to be a little bit strategic starting off. I do want this bright part in the middle to stay bright, so I'm not going back into that very middle again. And look at this. We're just going to work our way around. If some of those shapes keep their crayon lines or wax pastel lines, awesome sauce. Okay, I am going to sort of blend that just a little bit. There we go. And now I'm just going to come out here and work into those cooler tones. Ooh, that's looking pretty. Now over here into these warmer tones. I rinsed out my brush when I moved over here to these warmer tones. Ooh, I kind of like that hard line right there. Maybe I won't work too far up to the edge. Oh, I like that. Okay, and then just get all of this out here, softened up. This is a way to sort of carve out a painting from a doodle. I really like that. I'm going to keep this real light down here. It's sort of going gray. Sort of a neutral gray with the blue. That is pretty. I think I'm going to let that be. I'm not going to do a bunch of fiddling. I say that and then I do some fiddling. I do want a little bit of color down here. I'm just going to pull color that's already on the paper down and kind of smooth out that join just a little bit right there. That overlap spot right there. Just want to smooth that out just a little. You can only do so much, and then it starts getting all muddy and murky. Ah, that is so pretty. All right, now I'm just going to dry it, and then we're going to come back and doodle on this. Remember, hearts are not just for Valentines. And I didn't even use my watercolors. Done with that side of it. I want to grab my pen. My paper is slightly damp still. It's not going to be a problem. I am going to start looking for shapes that I like. Now, this pen doesn't necessarily like to draw over wax-based stuff, so I'm just basically making some marks right now, generally heart-shaped. See? I don't want to ruin my pen, so I'm probably going to change to a different one. This is a little fine. Here's an N25 brush pen with a bullet tip and a brush tip. I think I'm going to grab the bullet end. And, oh, there we go. And this is going to bleed a little bit if it hits a space on the paper that's a little bit wet already, or wet still. Notice I'm just loosely going around the heart first. I just want to get some basic heart shape going there. And then I'm looking at this. And now this is not heart shaped here, but I want to make another heart shape inside. So I'm just going to grab that and loosely make another heart shape. And I want it to kind of go with what I've already done. So I'm going to give it at least 3 times around. I like that. This is starting to come together really nice. This is mark making 101, you know? Just make some marks and see what comes up. I really enjoy that shape there. I don't want to put a dark pen around that shape though. I think I'm going to come out here and maybe on the outside of it, I think I want to start putting some things. I see some spaces. Maybe there's a ribbon curling right here. That sort of purple that's going up around there. And then I'm going to just sort of mimic that shape. And you see what happens when you do that. You start getting twists in your ribbon. I like that. And now I've got some spaces where I can start putting some new shapes, new designs. Ooh, that's fun. And like I said, this is a water-based marker. This is the Tombow ABT. I got it in a set. And this is the spot where I don't like the spiral binding because my hand gets in the way of my hand. But, you know, we just keep going. And depending on how much time you have, that will dictate how much doodling you do, right? If your eyes start getting tired, stop. If your hand starts getting tired, stop. Remember, this is your hobby. This is for fun, unless it's not, unless it's your business. Maybe it's your business, and maybe you're going into handmade cards as a business, or designing, making your own designs and printing them. There's a lot of people doing stuff in a similar vein to this, but every person's card is different. Every original piece that is made using this sort of style, a person cannot copyright a style. They can only copyright their actual piece of art that they did. See, I see something and I go, ooh, I kind of want to play with that. Maybe there's a spiral right here in that heart. Filling in these little gaps with dark. This is not a fine tip pen. But like I said, my super fine tips don't really like to draw over the top of the wax-based water-soluble colors. So if you wanted to do this type of thing and use your super tiny point fine liners, or your Pitt pens, the RT1 by Uniball, the Microns, any of those, if you wanted to use those, I would suggest making sure you use actual watercolor. And I mean, it can be the cheap set like this to put your colors down and then move on. Dry it and do exactly the same thing. Have fun. But this is just exactly what I'm doing, and I'm not going to stress if the circles aren't perfectly round. I'm not going to stress if if my lines don't line up perfectly. There's no point in stressing about it. I'm looking at this going, I think I want to put some more of those little circles. I like filling gaps like this with circles because you can start tiny and then make them bigger to fill a space. They fill spaces really fast, and just follow the gap that you're filling. But hearts are not for just for Valentines. And that's what I want you to really learn from this lesson. Hearts are for any time you want to show care, concern, joy, love, all the kinds of love. Love for your family, love for your friends, love for your love for your kids, all the love. Let's share all the love. We need more love being shared out in the world right now. One more area that I'm going to put those circles is this little gap right here. I like to kind of fill those spaces in, but not fill everything in. I really want the color to be the focus on this one. Those colors, the randomness, the exuberance. And when you get down to a point where it doesn't make sense to keep making dots, Just fill it in. And then I go back and I fill those little triangles on either side of the circles. Sort of a negative painting type effect or coloring effect. Oh, this is making me happy. I hope it's making you happy too. If you are enjoying this, I hope that you will click that like button. Share it with your friends too. Share your cards. Share your art. Share your creativity. I think, really and truly, I really don't want to do a lot to this. I might do a little something to that ribbon, but I don't want to go in and do too much. I'm enjoying the look of this. Maybe something on that ribbon, but I don't want it to be too overwhelming. I think maybe we're just going to go stripes. Keep your stripes kind of separated a little bit. We might go back in where the lines converge, where they become tighter to each other here. I might make my lines closer to each other. And then as the outer lines come apart, I might spread my lines out a little bit. Oh, I like that. It gives a sense of almost like perspective. So tiny lines here, they're getting wider. I'm trying to hit both sides of that line. So that one and this one, that outside line and the inside line. As I'm coming around, it's getting smaller. They're getting closer to each other. That is actually working really well. So where it's a point, it's tiny lines close to each other, and as those lines come apart and they start to go wider, you know, this is a ribbon. It's twisted. So if your lines start twisting a little bit and tilting, that's cool. It's adding more interest. And all I'm doing is drawing straight lines. You can do this. It's almost like a film strip or something there, isn't it? So tiny lines where it's twisted and close to itself. And then as this space gets bigger, boom, make your lines wider. Space them out. I think it needs a little something though, and I kind of like that idea of it being like film strip. So maybe I will make a little margin line on there. Okay, it's crossing right here. And then it's crossing back to the other side. I'm going to pick that up there and bring it over here. My lines are not perfect. They don't have to be. We're on the outside of it here. On the inside of it here. So you see this spot here where it crosses. I already fixed one. I'm going to just connect that right here and just make it dark. That's the twist. That's at that twist. I think that is super cute. I'm going to put my initials on here. I hope that this was a fun, quick, easy little lesson that you learned something from. We just used Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2s to put our color down. We tried to use fine liners, the Pitt Artist pen and my Signo Uniball RT1 pen, and found that they didn't like coloring or drawing on top of the wax pen or wax-based pastels. We used the Tombow water-based pen to do our doodles. Keep the doodles simple. Don't go too overboard if you don't have the time to do it. Let's just enjoy and embrace the fun and wonkiness and go out and do something creative. Take care of yourself so you can take care of those around you. And I want to see you back here again really soon. Bye.